Hello, I'm Kimberley Dondo, Digital Content Manager, and welcome to In Conversation With, the podcast series that delves into the world of financial services and brings you face to face with some of the most notable figures in the industry. Listen as we discuss topics that are currently facing the industry and hear from visionary CEOs to disruptive innovators as we bring you a diverse array of voices and perspectives. We'll explore the challenges they faced, the lessons they've learned, and the insights they have to share about the ever-evolving landscape of financial services. Hello and welcome to In Conversation With. I'm Kimberley Dondo, and in today's episode, I'm joined by Phil Bray, founder and director at the Yardstick agency. Thank you for joining me today, Phil.
Thank you for having me.
So Phil, I'm sure a lot of our audience might already know who you are, but if you want to give an introduction into yourself and how you got started in the industry.
So I started back in 1995, nearly 30 years ago. I started as a financial advisor, tied, became an IFA in 99, did that until 2010, and then moved into marketing roles because, frankly, I enjoyed the marketing more than the advising. And was head of marketing at a IFA practice that's actually now owned and partly run by my wife, Sarah, and her business partner, Bev. And then I went to become head of marketing at Sense Network, and then we set Yardstick up in 10th of January 2017. So we've been going for 7.5 years now?
Yeah, wow. So as you said, you spent 3 decades in the financial services industry. And how have your diverse roles shaped your understanding of the challenges and opportunities facing financial advisors today?
I love the emphasis on decades there. Thank you. So I think so I've worked as an advisor. Mm-hmm. I've worked for a network, so obviously there's issues around compliance there, and worked in marketing. So I'm at that kind of bit of that center point of the three.
Yeah.
And advisors, planners, business owners have got to deal with the regulatory challenges, regulatory headwinds, whilst advising their clients and running and building a business. And that's a pretty tough challenge. I don't think there's another sector that has those 3 challenges. I think it's probably unique. And therefore, they're a very resilient sector, financial advisors, financial planners. They're incredibly resilient. And I admire them for it. But that would be my take, that how difficult it is and challenging it can be to grow a really good quality advice planning business with trying to wear those three hats. And the firms that do it the best, I think, are the ones where they have square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, rather than square peg in a round hole and vice versa. So they have the right people doing the right things. And so, for example, this morning, we've seen an example where an advisor has said, no, we're going to get an intern to write our blogs for us and our newsletters. Okay, how much financial services experience does that intern have? How much writing experience does that intern have? How well do they know the business, etc.? So for me, whilst they're trying to deal with those 3 challenges, it's about square pegs in square holes, getting the right people to do the right jobs. Rambling answer to a short question.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And you've obviously witnessed firsthand the evolution of the financial services industry. Not going to put any more emphasis on decades, but particularly in marketing and client engagement. So what are the most significant changes you've observed, and how have they impacted the way financial advisors connect with their clients?
So for me, the biggest difference is the digital world that we now live in. There has been a digital revolution at some point between when I first started in financial services and where we are now. We're going to have an AI revolution as well. But if you look back to 95, when I started in financial services, how did you get clients? It was basically word of mouth. It was a referral, a recommendation from a happy client to somebody that they thought I could work with. There was a few other ways, but 95% of new clients came to you by way of referral. And you were taught how to try and generate more referrals. Some of those tactics actually stand the test of time. Others are best forgotten, frankly. But now, whilst referrals and recommendations are still the best type of new inquiry, a referral from an existing client has a lower cost of acquisition than an inquiry from any other source, and has a higher conversion rate than a inquiry from any other source. The journey people take to an advisor's door has changed dramatically. So back in 95, pre-Google, if I was recommended to an advisor, the level of due diligence I did on that advisor was really quite low.
Yeah.
And it was probably a case of just picking up the phone. It wasn't even then a case of emailing, because that wasn't the thing back in 95, particularly. Now, though, I might be recommended to one advisor, another advisor. I might be recommended to two advisors. And sat between me becoming aware of those two advisors and taking action by getting in touch with one of them is Google. I'm going to look them up online. So we have a digital journey. Consumers take a digital journey to their advisor's door. They search for them online. They first meet the advisor on the Google search results page. They start getting to know the advisor and their firm on their website. And all the way along, consumers, let's say they've been recommended to two advisors, consumers are thinking, right, that firm was better there. That firm was better there. And they're slowly sort of producing a little balance sheet for each firm, things they like, things they don't like. And the firm that stacks up the most gets the phone call or the inquiry. So for me, the biggest change that we've seen is that online revolution.
Yeah.
Where Google now sits between awareness and action.
Yeah. Those Google reviews can really make a huge impact on a business as well, I've seen.
They're massively important. There's research from all sorts of providers, all sorts of research places and houses that show the importance of online reviews. You've only got to look at Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask, You Answer. He talks about in there 70% of a consumer's buying decision is made before they meet the salesperson. Now, the salesperson in this example is the advisor or the planner. And that means that that digital journey is incredibly important. It's also where competition happens, but it's invisible. Advisors, planners, business owners don't see it, but it definitely happens. And it's something all firms need to be aware of. They need to understand their digital presence, make themselves visible and impressive, so that as many of the people that become aware of them actually then get in touch with them as possible.
So your money marketing columns often tackle the intersection of technology, marketing, and advice. So from your perspective, how can advisors leverage digital tools, marketing strategies to not only grow their business, but also deliver better client outcomes?
Okay. So if firms are looking to grow their business, there's an order of things that they could be doing. Yeah, they could be organically growing by taking new clients on. They could be looking for cross-sell and upsell opportunities to existing clients. You know, we've got a mortgage advice business and a wealth business, but what proportion of our clients take both services from us? They could be looking to acquire and grow through acquisition. So the firm needs a marketing strategy around each of those three things. If they grow successfully, they're going to need more team members as well. So potentially they need a marketing strategy around attracting new team members to the business. So for each of those ambitions, whether it's organic growth, growth through acquisition, upsells and cross-sells to existing clients, and growing the team. They need a marketing strategy around each. And that marketing strategy should be divided into two sections. The first section should be the marketing foundations. So if they were writing a financial plan for a client, those financial foundations might be emergency fund, might be wills, power of attorneys, mortgage on the right rate, that sort of stuff. And then they would start looking at identifying their clients' longer term aspirations and objectives. And the same is true with marketing. So your marketing foundations in your strategy would be things like making yourself visible online, making yourself impressive online, Google and vouched for reviews, a real killer website that empathizes with the reason somebody is on the site, the trigger that they have. So for each of those strands that we talked about, organic growth, growth through acquisition, upsells and cross-sells, and recruitment, what are your marketing foundations? And some of those will be the same across the board. And what are your growth tactics? And for me, it all comes down to strategy. I see too many advisors jumping in and trying, we call it magpie marketing. Yeah. Okay. They get distracted by shiny new things.
Yeah.
And they never think strategically. It's always a tactical thought process. Much better to think strategically on those four strands. Imagine a grid, 4 strands. What are our marketing foundations? What are our growth tactics? And I think that's what's got to come first.
Yeah. And as someone who's built a successful agency serving financial advisors, what are the biggest marketing misconceptions or mistakes you see advisors making? Obviously, you talked about the magpie marketing, but are there any more, and how can they overcome them?
Okay. So I think we've talked about 2 or 3 already. The first is the magpie marketing or the lack of strategy.
Yeah.
Incredibly important that firms invest in producing a strategy for their business. A financial planner will develop a financial plan for their clients before they look at the tactics to implement that plan. Well, it's exactly the same with the marketing. So I think the first mistake is putting tactics above strategy. The second mistake, I'd say, is not understanding this digital journey that people go on. It is absolutely a thing. We just had an extension at home, going through an extension. Extension, kitchen, we need a builder, we need a kitchen fitter. I spent a lot of time researching these people online before I spent not an inconsiderable amount of money with them. I'm doing that. We do it for everything else in our lives.
Yeah.
There isn't, and people do the same with financial advice, financial planning, wealth management, mortgage broking, etc. So the second one I would say is about the misconceptions that people don't go on this digital journey. And then the third one is just, it's about having an open mind for me. There is too often a thought process that I don't need that. My clients won't do that. I'm different. And it closes the mind down. The firms who market themselves most successfully, the leaders in the firm, right down to the latest apprentice through the door, have an open mind when it comes to marketing. They are consistent. And that means they probably have really good processes and really good habits. And they invest time, money, and know they need to have patience. So those are some of the myths and misconceptions, but I'll probably be here all day talking about that.
Yeah. I was wondering if one of them might be also the follow through, as in if once they start something, seeing it through to the end and not just thinking, oh, well, this didn't garner as many results or the results that I thought it would, so I'm going to drop this and move on to the next thing, which I see outside of financial services. I think in everything, people tend to have this mindset of this has to be an instant success. If it's not, let's scrap it and do something else.
That's bang on. That's so on the money. And the analogy I use is if I invested, or if a client invested with a financial planner or financial advisor, and with a long-term time horizon, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And markets, for whatever reason, dipped immediately after investment. What would the advisor or planner say to the client who then said, I want to take all the money out, this isn't working? Okay? They would caution the client, they would talk about patience, they would talk about long-term investing. And the same is absolutely true with marketing. Yeah? People need to understand and need to be prepared to give things time and patience. Now, that's not to say you don't iterate and make evidence-led changes, but avoid knee-jerk reactions. There are so many analogies between marketing and financial planning. The importance of a plan, the importance of a marketing strategy, the importance of avoiding knee-jerk reactions when it comes to investment markets, the importance of avoiding knee-jerk reactions when it comes to marketing. But we see it. We see people saying, no, I'm going to pull the plug. Come on. Yeah. You've got to give this time. You've got to give this time and patience.
Yeah, definitely. I understand it can be scary, but see it through, I think. So financial advice is obviously constantly evolving with new regulations, technologies, like you've mentioned. There's the AI revolution looming, and also client expectations. So what do you see as the most pressing challenges facing advisors today, and how can they adapt to thrive in this changing environment?
I want to go back to that digital presence again. It's massive. It's massive. We did some research. I haven't written it up yet, but I've started looking at the research. Every year we visit randomly 500 advisor websites.
Okay.
And we look at what proportion have got team pages on there, what proportion have got fees pages. For those people who are going to shout at me, I'm not saying you should have a fees page or shouldn't have a fees page. Whether they've got client videos on there, that sort of stuff. And on the client video front, for example, only about 6% of advisor websites have got client testimonial videos on them. It's a teeny tiny proportion.
Yeah.
When we look at a random selection of 10 advisors online, only very few will have really good quality Google reviews, really good quality websites, etc. And sometimes I feel that we live in this bubble of good quality marketing. There's a load of stuff out there that isn't great. So for me, the biggest challenge is still the biggest challenge that was probably there if you'd have asked me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That firms need to be more visible and more impressive online if they want to grow their business. Clearly, the caveat is if you're happy with the size of your business and you're happy with just ticking over and getting the referrals that you're getting and don't want to see significant change, then you can make an argument that you don't need to invest in this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you do want to grow the business, then I would say the same challenge is there that was 5 years ago. I think you can add consumer duty to that. That was a bigger challenge for a lot of firms than I suspect many suspected it would be. And AI, I'm not sure AI is a challenge. I think it's a massive opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge opportunity to improve not only your business, but improve your marketing as well. So it's a bit of a boring answer. Give me the same answer now as it would be 5 years ago. It's about that digital presence.
Yeah. I think the only thing I see AI having an issue with is regulation, but that's only if you're using it actively in your planning, financial planning. But I think you're fine if you're using it for helping edit blogs or creating a social media plan, for example. I think in those terms, it can help for sure.
I agree. I think for me, it's about thinking when AI can help. So I'll give you a quick example, if that's okay. We got a data set to analyze for a firm recently, and we were trying to analyze the reasons why certain prospects didn't go ahead. So about 20% of their prospects, their leads were converting, about 80% weren't. And we wanted to understand the reason why 80% weren't converting. We had a spreadsheet with a list of reasons why they weren't converting. Problem was, the column with the list of reasons was all free type. So analysing it would have been a nightmare. There weren't a list of data fields you could pick from. It was all free type. And there was a lot of these, a couple of hundred. So we copied and pasted 100 into ChatGPT and said, give us the 6 most regular occurrences in this data set. It did it in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that saved us hours of time.
Yeah.
And for me, we need to think about ChatGPT as an assistant and other forms of AI rather than something that produces mediocre content.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So the cost of living crisis also has impacted both consumers and financial advisors. How can advisors help their clients navigate these challenging economic times? And what opportunities does the situation present for the advice profession?
So for me, that's about communication. We know that some financial advisors, planners, let's be honest, will have clients that are not affected by the cost of living crisis. Yeah, they will be wealthy enough that actually it doesn't affect them. It might affect their children, but it doesn't necessarily affect them. But for me, this is about communication. And it's probably wider than just cost of living. So I know that there are certain times when clients will seek information, confidence, reassurance from their financial advisor planner. Go back to March 2020, when we were in those unprecedented times of lockdown, furlough, investment markets not particularly reacting well, at least in the short term. And clients look to their financial advisor planner for confidence, reassurance, and information. They want reassurance that everything's going to be okay. Then we had Ukraine being invaded, similar sorts of thing. We had, how long ago was the budget from Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss's short-term premiership? A couple of years ago, maybe?
Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years now.
Like that. And again, they looked to their advisor for that information, confidence, and reassurance. We've seen it around the election. We've offered our clients 2 election updates to go out to their clients. So we've offered the financial advisor planners that we work with 2 election updates. One was pre-election. These are the main policies of the main parties that might affect your personal finance. There was one after the election. Labour are now in. We've had a few announcements from Rachel Reeves and others. This is how it might affect your personal finance. And what we've seen there is open rates on those email communications have been higher than the average open rate of these firms' newsletters. So people are interested in this information. So for me, this is all about communication. Maybe during the cost of living crisis, when other events happen, advisors need to be there communicating with their clients, not under the desk with a tin hat on, fingers in the ears, waiting for it all to go away, which we absolutely saw during COVID in March 2020. So, and for me, at those times, advisors either step up or they slide under the desk. As I say, stick the tin hat on and hope it goes away.
Yeah. And the rise of robo-advisors and DIY investment platforms, as well as AI, has led some to question the future of human advisors, which I don't really think is in question. But what's your take on this debate, and how can human advisors differentiate themselves in this increasingly digital landscape? I know obviously we've talked about communication, but is there any other way that they can be like, I'm better?
By just staying human. Yeah. Staying human. I think if somebody wants to take a DIY approach to investment management, crack on.
Yeah.
Let's not try and convince those people about the benefits of using a human. Yeah. Let them crack on. That's not our market. And I think that's absolutely fine. I think that firms need to emphasize the other benefits of working with them as well. For example, I presented the survey results. We run client surveys on behalf of firms. And last Thursday, I presented the client survey results to a firm in London. And one of the questions was, what is the single biggest benefit you get from working with us? And there was a drop-down list of them people could choose from. Investment management, 3% of people said that was the most important thing. 3%. It's tiny. There are so many other benefits of working with a good quality financial advisor, financial planner. And I think it's about, again, communicating those benefits to show the value of working with the planner. We ask another question. We ask the same question, but as an open question later on in the surveys. And every third answer is peace of mind.
Yeah.
The intervening answers are things like confidence, reassurance, that sort of stuff. Now, do you get that peace of mind, that confidence, that reassurance that everything's going to be okay from a robo-advisor, a DIY platform? I genuinely don't think most people do. And that's where, for me, the value of financial advice and the quality financial planning sits.
Yeah. It's really hard to trust myself when it comes to stuff like that, because I don't have the qualifications, but thinking or going to someone who I know has those qualifications will definitely give me peace of mind, because it's like me trying to diagnose myself with something and being like, well, I looked it up on Google, and it seems to align. Whereas if I go to a doctor, they run tests, they talk me through it, then I can be like, okay, I think you know better with your 10 years of studying and experience in this field. So yeah, that peace of mind piece makes sense.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you're not going to get that from AI.
No.
You're not going to get that from a robo-advice or a DIY platform. So for me, the future of advice, the future of planning is strong, providing it remains human.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, in one of your money marketing columns, you mentioned the importance of storytelling in financial advice. Could you share any personal anecdotes or client story that illustrates the power of effective communication in building trust and delivering meaningful financial advice?
Okay. So 6 or 7 years ago, my son, Will, was struggling at school.
Mm-hmm.
He finally been talking about this, so I wrote a blog about it a few weeks ago. And he was struggling with school, second year GCSEs.
Mm-hmm.
He'd gone from 3 different schools. I remember sat with him in A&E one night because he'd just had a panic attack. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. On his third school, 3 a.m. in the morning, panic attack, worried about going to school the next day. And a nurse pulled me to one side and said, you might not want to hear this. The problem is not the schools, it's Will. He's at a point where wherever he goes, he will get bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the moment I thought, I need to homeschool him. We need to homeschool him. I'm not qualified to homeschool him. I've got a full-time job.
Mm.
We just started Yardstick at this point. So what do? You go to Google. And we were looking for options to homeschool him. It's never done it before. And we couldn't find what we wanted. And then hidden away somewhere at the bottom of the second page of Google was a link. Click the link and hit a website. And that website, immediately, I felt a sense of relief because I'd found what I was looking for. And what I'd found was a business that tutored children who needed homeschooling. Tick 1. Mm-hmm. It was half a mile from our office in Nottingham. Tick 2, which meant he could go there. He could then come to the office to do homework and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And he did that for a full year. But I hit that website, and like I said, the sense of relief was just incredible because I'd found what I needed. I had found the solution, salvation to Will's problems. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to feel. That's what we need the consumers, potential clients of financial advisors to feel when they hit an advisor's website. Mm. Those consumers have a trigger. It is a financial problem that they want solving. It's an aspiration that they want to achieve. When they hit the financial planner's website, they have to feel an emotional connection with the firm, with the advisor, with the planner, and that sense of relief that they've found the right place.
Yeah.
And it all worked out brilliantly for Will, and it will work out brilliantly for the clients of financial advisors and planners.
Mm-hmm.
That is the story that, for me, cements the importance of that digital journey and that digital presence, because it will connect potential clients with potential advisors. And no way AI, DIY, or robo-advice is ever going to do that.
That is true. When you see something that answers your questions, you're just like, oh, and that weight lifts off your shoulders and you have a way of moving forward. So I think but I think one thing I would say is that like you were saying that it was on the second page of Google, which tends to not be great. So, make sure your SEO is really strong so that you're on that first page, because some people don't make it to the second page and you could miss out on clients based on that.
I completely agree, but that shows how desperate that I was.
Yeah, that you were searching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it shows how desperate I was, because I'd actually gone to the second page of Google. And who goes to the second page of Google? Yeah, we don't do it.
We don't.
We don't do it. So for me, that's what we're aiming for with our clients at Yardstick, so that when someone hits the planner's website, they feel that immediate sense of relief and that immediate connection, which is why on all our websites, you will see people on the homepage. Yeah. The team, pictures of the team, and pictures of clients, because it creates a connection.
Yeah, that human experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today, Phil. This was a really enlightening conversation.
Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to In Conversation With. We do hope that you enjoyed it. Please do keep up to date with all our new releases via Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts from. You can also keep up to date with all our new content published on the Money Marketing website, as well as our print edition Money Marketing magazine. So make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next time.